Howdy, my name is Jieun. I'm a doctoral student at Texas A&M University and a part of Socio-Environmental Research Lab led by Dr. Michael Schuett. I'll be presenting a study titled Visitors' Perception of Air Quality and Energy Development in the Permian Basin of West Texas. Permian Basin is a large sedimentary basin located in western Texas and southeastern New Mexico. It's noted for its rich petroleum, natural gas, and potassium deposits. Drilling in this basin began in the 1920s. Since then, there have been many ups and downs in regard to production levels. Some of the top operators in this region include Chevron, ExxonMobil, and Pioneer Natural Resources. Recently, elevated oil prices and new technologies such as horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing have led to a new wave of drilling activity in the Permian Basin. Just in West Texas part of the basin, over 100,000 wells were drilled in less than a decade. On the right-hand side, I have an image from Railroad Commission of Texas, which regulates oil and gas production in the state. According to the commission, as of January 2020, about 10,000 wells were permitted and 167,000 oil and gas wells were completed. According to the same source, natural gas production in the region has tripled since 2008, and oil production has quadrupled during the same time period. For those of you who are not familiar with West Texas, this is a vast rural area where you can drive for hours and do not come across a single big city. So the arrival of the oil and gas industry in small communities is viewed with some suspicion based on past development in the area. Many societal and environmental concerns have been raised. Some of these include discussion about energy policy, revenue for local communities, landscape alterations, and air and water pollutions. These are some pictures of oil and gas operations in West Texas. It's very common to see large operations with a lot of well pads like the two pictures on top. A long line of traffic with big trucks and trailers around these operations have become an issue as well. And like in this bottom right picture, flaring, which is burning of excess natural gas during operations, occurs day and night. And this contributes to the concerns of air and light pollution. Even though this region is sparsely populated, it's a popular destination for outdoor recreation and tourism with several state and national parks. If you look at this image on the right, the yellow stars show locations of these parks I've listed over here on the left side. As you see on this image, these parks are located very close to large oil and gas operations. So we were interested in learning about how visitors at these recreation sites felt about energy development in the area. There have been several studies that examine the public perceptions of energy development, especially focusing on hydraulic fracturing, which is often called fracking. Brown and her colleagues found that residents often held positive views toward oil and gas development based on its economic contributions that fracking provided their states. However, the residents expressed significant concerns toward public health and environmental issues such as water contamination and air pollution. Differences in perceptions were examined based on several factors like age, gender, familiarity with issue, media use, and political ideology. In the context of outdoor recreation, several concerns specific to parklands were raised. These concerns included air and water quality issues that may negatively affect visitors' health and recreation experience. And transformation of rural and natural landscapes into industrial landscapes was discussed. Concerns for possible loss of park acreage, accessibility, and usage of parks were raised as well. In addition, Rask and her colleagues examined actual visitor use data from 27 national forests. They found that sites within 5 kilometers, which is about 3 miles, of oil and gas wells received less visitation compared to the ones farther away from the wells. Based on the findings, they speculated that the presence of oil and gas development may have a significant enough effect on the visitor experience for some of them to recreate somewhere else. All of this brings us to the need and purpose of this study. There is limited knowledge about the impact of new wave of energy development in the Permian Basin, especially when it comes to recreational users of parklands in the region. So the purpose of this study was to investigate visitors' perceptions of air quality and energy development in the region, and also to examine if there is any difference based on socio-demographic characteristics. And this was a joint study with the Department of Atmospheric Sciences at Texas A&M University. Data were collected at 3 different recreation sites, which were Balmorhea State Park, Davis Mountains State Park, and Fort Davis National Historic Site. First, Balmorhea State Park is known for its large, spring-fed swimming pool. Visitors come here to swim and scuba dive in the water that stays around 74 degrees year-round. There are several campsites and picnic areas, but there aren't any hiking trails like you would expect of a state park. Even without any trails, this is a very popular park that attracts a large number of visitors, to the point that they began implementing a reservation system to limit the number of visitors per day. The second data collection site was Davis Mountains State Park. Many visitors come here to hike, mountain bike, or enjoy the equestrian trail they have. The park is also known for its dark sky, especially with McDonald Observatory nearby. Another popular attraction is staying at a historic Indian lodge, as you see on the bottom right picture. The last data collection site was Fort Davis National Historic Site, which is also set in the Davis Mountains. This site was a frontier military post, and today there are 24 roofed buildings and over 100 ruins and foundations. And park employees and volunteers do reenactments and demonstrations, as in these pictures, to involve and educate park visitors. Data were collected at 2 different times in June and July of 2019. Convenience sampling was used by approaching the visitors at recreation sites, introducing the purpose of the study, and asking them to fill out a questionnaire. This questionnaire included items about perceptions of air quality, energy development, recreation experience, and visitors' socio-demographics. Results. A total of 344 visitors participated in this study. An average age of respondents was 46 years, and the majority of respondents were male and white. The overwhelming majority were highly educated with at least some college education, and they had a relatively high income level. Also, 88% of respondents were Texas residents. This table shows findings on visitors' perceptions of environmental quality. Respondents were asked to indicate the extent to which they agreed or disagreed with the statements using a 5-point Likert scale. The scale ranged from 1, which is strongly disagree, to 5, which is strongly agree. So if you look at the 3 items on air quality, the participants felt that air quality is very important when they recreate. However, they did not feel that air in the area smelled like rotten eggs, nor the air quality irritated their eyes and breathing at the time of data collection. Compared to air quality, there were more concerns about water quality in the area. These visitors also responded that they prefer natural, undeveloped area and very much like seeing a dark sky at night. Additionally, the respondents were fairly concerned about the effects of climate change worldwide and thought that we must reduce energy consumption for the welfare of future generations. Table 3 describes findings about visitors' perception of local energy development. For these items, they were again asked to rate their agreement using a 5-point Likert scale. First of all, people generally supported energy development because it's important to the Texas economy and to the US. However, if you look at the 3rd and 4th items, The respondents thought that energy development near recreation areas is a public health problem and that they don't want the development near these areas. Also, there was a fairly strong agreement that the general public needs to learn more about the costs and benefits of local energy development. The second part of this project was to determine if there are any differences in perceptions based on socio-demographics. First, respondents were divided into 4 age groups. There were some, but not many differences opinions based on age. Overall, the youngest group, which is from age 18 to 29, showed the most difference compared to other age groups. This group believed that poor air quality was impacting recreation in the area more so than people who were 60 and older. However, if you look at the last item on this table, the youngest group thought the least about air quality when they recreate. It was the age group of 30 to 44 that was most concerned about air quality. This may be that people in this age group are most likely to be starting a new family or having young kids, making them more conscious about air quality when they recreate. Next, we looked at differences based on gender. There were many differences, and this table shows some highlights. There were 202 males and 138 females who participated in the study. Although not everyone answered every question, these numbers should help you understand the context a little better. If you look at the first 2 items, females were less tolerant of seeing oil and gas wells near recreation areas. Compared to males, females tended to disagree with the first item that states, "I'm used to seeing oil and gas wells where I recreate." On the other hand, females tended to agree with the second item more so than males, which states, "Seeing oil and gas wells while I recreate negatively affects my experience." Looking at the third and fourth items, compared to males, females thought that the energy development near recreation areas is a public health problem, and females did not support energy development in the area as much as males supported. The last 2 items on this table shows that compared to males, females were more concerned about global climate change and current energy consumption levels. We also looked at differences based on political beliefs. There were 157 individuals who were politically conservative and 108 individuals who were politically liberal. As many of you can imagine, there were numerous differences between conservatives and liberals. Based on a 5-point scale, each of the items on this table had a mean score difference greater than 1 full point. Thus, this showed the large differences between conservatives and liberals. First, compared to conservatives, liberals in general were more concerned about air and water quality and viewshed in the area. Looking at the second and third items, we found that liberals were much less tolerant of seeing oil and gas wells near where they recreate. Looking at the fourth item, conservatives were more supportive of local energy development because of its economic contributions to the state. The last 3 items on this table show that liberals were more concerned about the impact of energy development near recreation areas, effects of climate change, and levels of our energy consumption. To summarize, visitors to recreation sites in West Texas valued air quality, dark sky at night, and natural and undeveloped areas. At the time of data collection, the respondents did not express much complaints regarding air quality. However, with continued oil and gas development in this region, the issues related to visitors' health and negative visitor experience may come up and become prevalent. Many respondents were especially concerned about the water quality, as one of the main attractions in the region is Balmorhea State Park, known for its spring-fed swimming pool. Another interesting finding was that there was a general support for local energy development because of its importance to the Texas economy. However, many respondents did not support the development near recreation areas. This finding supports the NIMBY phenomena known as not in my backyard, in which people may support an activity for economic or other purposes as long as it's not in my backyard. In other words, people are generally less supportive of energy development when it occurs in close proximity to where they live, and in this case, where they recreate. Also, we found that study participants showed a neutral response to an item. I'm willing to travel to another area to recreate when I see energy development nearby. This finding contradicts previous studies that show that the majority of survey participants were willing to travel farther to visit a park that was not affected by fracking operations. The finding also contradicts studies that found the actual visitation to be lower for national forest sites that had oil and gas wells within the 3-mile radius. We believe that given the unique characteristics of West Texas, where people drive hours to get to recreation sites, people may accept seeing oil and gas wells as a way of life. They may feel that there are not many alternatives to their current recreation sites, even though oil and gas operations around those sites increase. Finally, we observed several differences based on socio-demographics. These findings support previous studies that showed females to be more concerned about energy development and conservatives to be more supportive of energy development. There are several recommendations for recreation managers. It's important for them to have awareness and a sensitivity toward these visitor-related issues resulting from energy development nearby. The recreation managers should also take some of the findings into consideration when designing their ranger programs. The programs may include lessons about the costs and benefits of local energy development in West Texas, how to reduce our energy consumption, and what we can do as individuals to reduce the effects of climate change. Some of the limitations to this study are worth mentioning. Data were collected over 2 weeks in summer at 3 recreation sites. For future, collecting data during non-summer month and at more recreation sites are advised. For future, researchers should examine the impact of continued oil and gas development over time. It will be worth analyzing trends of visitors' perception of energy development and their recreation experiences like we have done in this study. It would also be interesting to compare the findings to visitation statistics to see if any change in perceptions has an effect on actual visitation levels. It's also recommended that researchers expand the study to include other stakeholders, such as local residents and business owners. I would like to acknowledge support from National Park Service and Texas Parks and Wildlife Department for allowing us to collect data at their sites. Thank you for listening to my presentation.